Welcome to the Prescott Lab Podcast, not just theory, practical science for everyone. I'm Dr. Jonathan Prescott, a physician and integrative medicine researcher at the Ravenshade Institute for Human Health. If you're a man over 60, maybe even 70, I want to speak directly to you because I know what most people won't say out loud, that there's a quiet ache you carry not in your bones but in your pride. That mornings used to begin with certainty. And now you wake up and wonder if that part of you, the man you were, is still in there somewhere. And the worst part, you've been told this is normal, that fading desire, weaker performance, softer erections, they're just part of aging. You've been conditioned to accept it, to shrink, to settle. But what if I told you that wasn't true? What if I told you that your manhood isn't gone, it's just been waiting? Waiting for the right tools to reignite what's still burning inside you. Today, I'm going to share something simple. No pills, no surgeries, no shame, just an oil-based protocol rooted in ancient wisdom confirmed by modern science that's helped thousands of older men restore function, blood flow, and confidence naturally. And if this message already speaks to you, if you've ever looked in the mirror and quietly thought, I want to feel like myself again, then do me one small favor, tap that like button, not for vanity, not for the algorithm, but because every like tells us this message matters, that you're not alone, and that this channel is worth growing for men like you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a great time. We're building something here, something real, something for men who want to reclaim their vitality with dignity. And we can't do that without your support, so hit like, subscribe, leave a 1 in the comments if you're ready to fight back. Or a 0 if you're not sure, that's okay too. Just know this, you're not invisible here, we're listening, because what we're about to explore has nothing to do with chasing youth and everything to do with remembering who you are and giving your body the tools to rise again. Now, let's talk about what's really causing weak erections after 60, and why the biggest lie you've ever been told is that it's just your age. 1. Why most men over 60 struggle and why it's not their fault. He came into my office with a firm handshake and a practiced smile. Late 60s, retired military, still stood tall, still sharp as a tack, but as soon as the door closed behind him, the weight dropped from his shoulders. He sat down and looked at me not with fear but with fatigue. And he said, Doc, I'm not the man I used to be. I don't feel it, not in the mornings, not with my wife. Not in my own body, I don't even feel like myself anymore. I hear that more than you'd think. Men like him and maybe men like you start believing it's all just age, but let me say this clearly. The problem you're facing isn't your fault, and it's not your testosterone's fault either. At least not entirely, it's your circulation. As we age, our blood vessels harden like old copper pipes. They lose their elasticity. They become narrow, stiff, slow. Tiny capillaries that once carried life-giving blood to your most intimate tissues. They shrink, they close off. Add in years of sitting, stress, sugar, hidden inflammation, and you've got a recipe for low flow, low pressure, and low function. But that's not the only piece. Your nervous system, too, begins to fade. What used to feel intense becomes dulled. What once sparked a response now falls flat. It's not because your desire is gone, it's because your wiring is clogged. And no blue pill on earth can fix that. The truth is you're not broken. You've just been running on a system that was never designed to handle decades of stress, toxins, and disconnection. But here's the good news. Your body still remembers. The signals are still there, deep beneath the surface. And with the right tools, you can reactivate what time has only silenced, not destroyed. It starts with waking up your blood flow not through pills, but through something far more natural. Something you've probably overlooked your whole life. Something you might even have in your kitchen right now. Let's talk about that first oil. It's cool, it's sharp, and it brings heat where it matters most. 2. Peppermint oil, rebooting your blood flow. The first time I told a patient to try peppermint oil, he blinked at me like I just asked him to rub toothpaste on his chest. He was 72, a retired firefighter. Doc, I'm not trying to make my crotch smell minty, he joked. I smiled and said, you won't be laughing in 3 days. He wasn't. He came back in tears. You see, peppermint oil isn't just for tea or candy canes. It contains a compound called menthol, and menthol is a vascular stimulant. When used properly, it interacts with receptors in your blood vessels that quite literally force them to open gently but powerfully. It's like flipping the main breaker on a circuit that's been tripping for years. That's why for many men, peppermint oil becomes the very first signal to their body. Hey, we're not dead yet. But there's a method to this. You don't slather it on like lotion. Peppermint oil is potent, too much and you'll burn, not heal. Here's how I instruct my patients. Start with just 2 drops, diluted in a carrier oil like jojoba or coconut. Warm the mixture between your palms. Then using slow, circular motions, apply it along the lower abdomen and inner thighs. Not on the genitals, never directly, but close enough that the blood flow gets the message. The sensation, cool at first, then warm, then something stirs. One patient described it as like my body remembered where the blood was supposed to go. Another told me, "Doc, it was like someone turned the lights back on. I'd forgotten what morning energy felt like." But here's the key: consistency. You don't use it once and expect fireworks. This is not a performance trick, it's a restoration process. I recommend applying it every night before bed. That's when your body is naturally shifting into repair mode. That's when you remind your circulatory system what strength feels like. And over time, 5 days, 7 days, maybe more, something changes, not just physically, but emotionally. Because with blood comes warmth comes sensitivity, and with sensitivity comes belief. And belief is the soil where masculinity regrows. Now, peppermint oil wakes the body up. But once it's awake, you'll need something stronger to feed that fire, something deeper, rooted, ancient. Something that knows exactly what it means to be a man. 3. Ginseng Oil, awakening your masculine energy. Paul was 67, Vietnam vet, tough as nails on the outside, but he sat across from me quiet, like something inside him had dimmed. "Doc," he said, "it's not just the erections, it's everything. I feel flat, like a part of me's been turned down low and I can't reach the dial." I nodded because I've heard that line before, and every time I know where to look. Testosterone. Not the number you see on a lab sheet, not some artificial boost from a shot or gel. I'm talking about the natural, bioavailable testosterone your body used to make, the kind that made you walk taller, laugh louder, and wake up ready. And to help bring that back, I reach for something ancient: ginseng oil. Long before lab coats and data charts, this root was revered as a symbol of virility and strength. And now, science confirms what tradition always knew. Ginseng contains compounds called ginsenosides, natural agents that signal your body to produce more free testosterone, the kind your cells actually use. But ginseng doesn't force your system like synthetic therapies do. It reminds your body how to behave like it did when you were 30. Here's how you use it. In the morning, when testosterone production is naturally highest, mix 4 to 5 drops of ginseng oil into a tablespoon of carrier oil. Warm it slightly, then apply it with deliberate, firm strokes from the base of the abdomen up toward the navel. No rush, no friction. This isn't a performance trick. It's an invitation to your body to wake up with respect, with rhythm, and with purpose. Most men feel the shift not just in their sex drive, but in their energy, clarity, and sleep. Paul came back after 2 weeks and said, "I didn't just feel more alive. I felt more present with myself, with my wife, with my mornings." That's the real gift of ginseng. It's not about chasing a younger version of yourself. It's about reconnecting with your core, that silent strength you thought time had taken from you. It's still there, waiting. But to unlock that strength fully, we can't stop at hormones. Because even with the blood flow back and testosterone rising, none of it matters if you can't feel it. And that's exactly what we'll talk about next. 4. Rosemary oil, the lost feeling returns. Tom was 71, widower, former high school math teacher. He sat across from me, leaned in, and whispered something most men are too proud to admit. "Doc, it's not that I can't get it up, it's that I can't feel anything even when I do." That moment hit me harder than most, because beneath those words wasn't just physical loss, it was something deeper: the grief of disconnection from his body, from sensation, from the spark. And I knew exactly what was missing: nerve sensitivity. We talk a lot about blood flow and testosterone, but what no one talks about, and what few doctors even check, is what happens when the body stops feeling alive, when the nerves go quiet. As we age, the electrical signals that once fired like lightning between your brain and your most intimate areas begin to dim, like a light bulb slowly fading. And sometimes the bulb's not broken. It just needs rewiring. That's where rosemary oil comes in. Yes, rosemary, the herb your grandkids sprinkles on potatoes, becomes something far more powerful when distilled into oil. Rich in rosmarinic acid and camphor, it doesn't just stimulate the skin. It activates dormant nerve endings, improves conduction velocity, and most exciting of all, promotes neurogenesis. That's right, new nerve growth. And when nerves grow, sensation returns. Here's how I teach my patients to use it. Mix 3 to 4 drops of rosemary oil with a light carrier like jojoba. Apply it gently, feather-light, along the lower abdomen and the inner thigh. Use only the tips of your fingers, no pressure, just a whisper across the skin, especially along the underside where the most sensitive nerves lie dormant. It's not about friction, it's about invitation, and timing matters. Do this in the early evening, 2 to 3 hours before intimacy, or even just before bed. Let the oil do its work beneath the surface where the real rewiring begins. What happens next? Men often report a tingling, then warmth, then presence. They begin to feel their body again, not just arousal, but connection, and that connection changes everything. But even with circulation, testosterone, and nerve sensitivity restored, there's still one silent force working against you every day. It clogs, it stiffens, it steals. And unless you clear it out, it'll keep dragging you down. That's what we'll deal with next. 5. Castor Oil, clearing the blockages no one talks about. His name was Reggie. 68, retired accountant, quiet, stoic, never missed a checkup in his life. He didn't come to me for pills. He came with a gut feeling, literally. Doc, he said, something's just stuck, not in my head, not just down there, it's like I'm blocked. And he wasn't wrong, because for men like Reggie and maybe men like you, the issue isn't just about getting blood in. It's about getting waste out. You see, most men carry decades of low-grade inflammation in their pelvis and lower abdomen. From sitting, from processed food, from stress. This chronic inflammation acts like rust in your plumbing. It narrows blood vessels, stiffens tissue, and worst of all, it clogs your lymphatic system, the body's natural garbage disposal. When your lymph flow slows down, toxins get trapped, circulation suffers, nerves get irritated, and your erections. They fade because the entire system is operating under sludge. That's why I bring in something old, something you probably saw in your grandmother's cabinet, castor oil, but not taken internally. Used topically, castor oil becomes a powerful agent for deep tissue healing. Its primary compound, ricinoleic acid, penetrates the skin and melts inflammation like heat on ice. It stimulates lymphatic drainage. It restores fluidity to stiffened fascia. And most importantly, it clears out the invisible blockages that no pill can touch. Here's how I recommend using it. Each night, warm a tablespoon of castor oil slightly. Massage it gently into the lower abdomen, just below the navel and above the groin. Then cover the area with a warm, damp cloth. Lay back, breathe deep, let the oil do the work. 15 to 20 minutes, no pressure, no rubbing, just presence. Some men do this while reading. Others while meditating. Reggie, he made it part of his nightly routine. After 3 weeks, he said, Doc, I didn't realize how much pressure I'd been carrying until it was gone. I feel light down there and strong again. Because that's what castor oil does. It doesn't excite, it restores, it clears the fog, and makes room for vitality to move again. Now imagine all that buildup is gone. Blood is flowing, hormones are firing, nerves are listening. What if I told you there's one final oil? One that brings it all together, blood, nerves, hormones, and healing, in a way that feels almost spiritual. That's the one we turn to next. 6. Black seed oil, the ancient power restored. If I had to choose just one oil for every man over 60, one natural remedy to keep on the shelf near the toothbrush like a sacred ritual, it would be this. Black seed oil. It's not new, it's not flashy. But it's been used for over 3,000 years in cultures from Egypt to Persia to India. They called it the cure for everything but death. And while that might sound poetic, when it comes to restoring a man's vitality, I've seen black seed oil live up to the legend. Let me explain. This oil is rich in a compound called thymoquinone, a powerful antioxidant and hormone modulator. What does that mean for you? It means this oil doesn't just sit on the skin and tingle. It goes deep to the actual Leydig cells in your body that produce testosterone. It repairs them, supports them, revives them. At the same time, black seed oil lowers cortisol, your stress hormone. And make no mistake, cortisol is a thief. It steals your drive, shrinks your energy, and numbs your connection to pleasure. But when cortisol comes down and testosterone goes up, you don't just perform better. You start to feel like yourself again, and that's not all. Black seed oil also boosts nitric oxide production, the very molecule that controls blood vessel dilation, blood pressure, and yes, erection strength. In short, it supports every system that matters to your manhood. Now let's talk application. Internally, take 1 teaspoon of cold-pressed black seed oil on an empty stomach each morning, ideally between 6:00 and 8:00 a.m., when your testosterone is naturally trying to peak. Then, in the evening, apply a few drops topically, mixed with a light carrier oil, and massage gently into the lower abdomen and pelvic region. Use slow, intentional strokes, breathing deeply as you go. This isn't about technique, it's about presence. About rebuilding the sacred connection between you and your own strength. Men who use black seed oil consistently report sharper focus, deeper sleep, greater endurance, and yes, more powerful, more reliable erections. But what I notice most is how they carry themselves. Shoulders higher, chin up. Not because they're chasing youth, but because they are finally inhabiting their body again. and that more than any number on a chart is how we know a man is healing. But now you're probably wondering, how do I put all this together? 5 oils, 5 purposes, 5 different applications. What's the daily plan? How do I build a system I can stick to? Let me walk you through that next. 7. How to combine all 5 oils into a 7-day ritual. You've heard the science. You've felt the stories. You've seen the way each oil plays its role like 5 instruments in a forgotten symphony of manhood. Now it's time to conduct. This is the 7-day oil protocol I give my own patients, and for the men who follow it not perfectly but consistently, the results speak louder than any lab result ever could. Let's break it down simply. Mornings are for ignition. Evenings are for restoration. Morning routine daily 6:00 a.m. Take 1 teaspoon of cold-pressed black seed oil on an empty stomach. This sets your hormonal stage, lowers cortisol, and primes nitric oxide. Post-shower or before dressing, mix 4 or 5 drops of ginseng oil with a carrier like coconut or jojoba. Apply to the lower abdomen and pelvic region using slow, firm, upward strokes. Focus. Breathe. Move with intent. This isn't lotion, it's leadership. Evening routine before bed. Step 1. Peppermint oil day 1 to 7. Mix 2 drops with carrier oil. Use circular motions around the inner thigh and lower groin, never directly on genitals. This wakes up circulation and signals your system to open. Step 2. Rosemary oil every other night. Mix 3-4 drops with jojoba. Use featherlight touch along the lower abdomen and underside of the pelvis. You're reactivating nerves. Whisper, don't shout. Step 3. Castor oil. Pack 2 to 3 times per week. Warm 1 tablespoon of castor oil. Apply to lower abdomen. Cover with warm, damp cloth. Lie down, rest 15-20 minutes. This is your body's deep clean. Step 4. Black seed oil topical daily. Mix a few drops with carrier oil. Massage into abdomen with deep, mindful strokes. Think of it as tucking in your hormones for the night. This routine takes no more than 15 minutes in the evening, often less. But the shift it creates lasts all day, and here's the thing, you don't need to be perfect. Miss a night, pick it back up the next. Feel too tired one morning, do it later. This is a ritual, not a rule book. I've seen men transform in a week, others take longer. But almost all of them say the same thing. It's not just my body that's changing. It's how I carry myself. Because when you start treating your body like something sacred, it responds in kind. Now, some of you have already started trying parts of this. You've emailed, you've commented, and you've asked great questions. So next, I want to speak directly to a few of you and answer the real concerns men are wrestling with as they rebuild their strength. 8 real stories from men who tried it. Before we wrap up, I want to take a few minutes to answer some of the most common questions I get from men just like you. Sometimes they come as emails. Sometimes they're comments under our videos, and sometimes they're whispered across my desk with a mix of embarrassment and hope. But they're always real, so let's walk through a few of them. You might just hear your own voice in one of these. Doc, what if I don't like the smell of peppermint oil? Totally fair. Some men find it too strong. If that's you, I recommend starting with just 1 drop and adding a few more drops of a neutral carrier oil like jojoba or almond. You can also try applying it to less sensitive areas like the lower back or outer thighs, where the circulation effects still help but the scent won't feel overpowering. The oil isn't magic because of the smell. It's magic because of the menthol, and that doesn't need to punch you in the face to work. Can I do this protocol if I'm on medication for blood pressure or diabetes? This is important. None of the oils in this protocol are intended to replace medication, and most are gentle enough to be used alongside prescriptions. But you should always talk to your doctor before beginning any new supplement or topical practice, especially if you're on blood thinners or hormone therapy. That said, many of my patients use this protocol as a complement to their care and often find their bodies respond better to traditional treatments once the inflammation and circulation improve. How long before I feel something? Some men feel a difference in 2 to 3 days, others need a full week. A few take longer. But remember, we're not triggering an instant response like a pill. We're retraining your body to function like it once did. That kind of change takes consistency. If after 10-14 days you feel nothing at all, check your dilution ratios, your timing, and your pressure. Most of the time, a small tweak makes all the difference. Is this just placebo, doc? Honestly, even if it were and it's not, what's wrong with something that works and makes you feel better, more connected, and more alive? But no, this isn't placebo. We have clinical studies showing menthol's effect on blood flow, thymoquinone's role in hormonal balance, ginsenoside stimulating testosterone, and castor oil's impact on inflammation. This is evidence-based ancient wisdom, not snake oil. I'm over 75. Is it too late? Not even close. I've had patients in their late 80s start this protocol and feel better within 2 weeks. Vitality doesn't expire, it just needs the right invitation. And that leads us into something I want to leave you with, because this protocol, it's not about chasing youth. It's about reclaiming your power at any age. Now that we've covered the full system and answered some common questions, it's time to bring everything together with one final message from me to you. It's a message about dignity, about healing, and about the truth you might have forgotten. You are not broken, and what's next just might be the beginning you've been waiting for. 9. The final word: you're not too old to be fully alive again. If you've made it to this point, let me take off the white coat for a moment and just speak to you man to man. You've heard the science, you've listened to the stories, but more than that, you've stayed, and that tells me something. It tells me you're not done, not with your body, not with your confidence, not with the quiet fire that still lives somewhere behind your ribs, no matter how long it's been since you've felt it. I've spent over 30 years sitting across from men who thought they were past their prime. Men who walked in with slumped shoulders, a tired heart, and a look that said, "I'm afraid this is just who I am now." But after a few weeks, just a few shifts, they'd come back different, standing straighter, smiling again, and not because I gave them some magic, but because they gave their body permission to heal. What you've just learned isn't a gimmick. It's not hype. It's a restoration ritual using tools your ancestors would have recognized and modern medicine now confirms. 5 oils, each one playing a role: peppermint for blood flow, ginseng for testosterone, rosemary for nerve sensitivity, castor oil for deep cleansing, black seed oil for total system support. Not a trick, a system, a pathway home. So let me say this clearly in case no one has lately. You are not broken, you are not expired. You are not too old, you are rebuilding. And every drop of oil, every breath during that quiet evening massage, every intentional morning dose is a statement, not to the world, to yourself. I still matter, I still move, I still live. If this podcast resonated with you, I invite you to share one sentence in the comments, something real, not a number, just a few honest words like "I needed this," or "I'm trying," or even "I'm not sure, but I'm listening." Because every time one of you speaks, another man out there finds courage to keep going. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time, not to chase hacks, but to build a rhythm of healing week after week together. And if you know someone who needs this message, a brother, a friend, a father, share this episode. You never know what moment of truth it might unlock in them. Until next time, stay strong, stay present, and above all, stay alive in your own skin. I'm Dr. Jonathan Prescott. Thank you for listening.